Check the mic and make sure it sound right.
Hi, I'm DKWILL. This is DKWILL Talk About It. We're going to talk about this article here from CoinSpeaker entitled Solana and XRP Lead Record 96 Crypto ETF Filings. Solana and XRP ETF filings make up a significant portion of the 96 filings with the US SEC, with experts convinced of a bullish breakout soon. This August 29, 2025 issue by Godfrey Benjamin covers that fact. It's a 3-minute read, but this is DK. We'll talk about it. So we'll read, but we'll also talk about it. It gives some keynotes, and it says that Nate Garachi thinks that Solana and XRP will enter a bullish season soon. Absolutely. We'll talk about that. His statement came shortly after James Seifert noted that these assets lead the crypto ETF list in the US. That's what this article is about. And US SEC Commissioner Caroline Crenshaw is opposed to crypto ETFs. Well, Caroline Crenshaw is a hangover, a leftover, a drag on momentum. The SEC as a whole is 100% pro crypto. One Biden leftover is not going to stop this train, this rocket, this shuttle from taking a trip to the moon. All right, so XRP traded fund ETF expert, he's an expert, huh? Nate Garachi is convinced that the future of XRP and some other crypto assets is bright. So am I. He made this forecast after James Seifert, a senior ETF analyst with Bloomberg, revealed that the United States Securities and Exchange Commission has 96 crypto ETF applications waiting for a decision. According to Seifert, the commission is in the middle of reviewing at least 96 crypto applications. And then we have a breakdown here. But notice what it says here. In all of history, this represents the largest wave of ETF applications the market has experienced. Notably, Solana-based ETFs are at the forefront with at least 16 filings from various asset management firms, Invesco and Galaxy. XRP is following closely with 15 filings from the likes of ProShares and Franklin Templeton. And then other ETF applications cut across Dogecoin, Litecoin, Chainlink, and even Polkadot. Here's how we can view these, folks. Longevity. Let's not forget, as I've said many times in past videos, Brad Garlinghouse has said it. Many in the crypto community have said it, because many believe it. I believe it too. 99% of all these millions of cryptos out there are going to disappear. My take on it, my personal take that I haven't heard voiced by anyone else, and I'm sticking to it until it changes, is they're going to be considered counterfeit. They're going to be considered counterfeit money, because we're going to a gold asset-backed monetary system, and these things are just speculative games and toys. They're like baseball cards. But what I can say is the likes of Doge, surprisingly, Litecoin, we'll see, Chainlink, definitely, and Polkadot. Those are some coins that if you're not sure if you want to be all in on XRP or all in on Solana, those are ones that you can bet on, because they wouldn't be creating the ETFs if they were going to die. But nonetheless, I also take into consideration that they get liquidity by tricking regular people like us into losing money. And so sometimes there's duds out there, I think, on purpose. But it says this is a reflection of the growing diversification of investors' interest beyond the largest cryptocurrencies by market cap, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Garachi believes the approval of these numerous filings holds positive prospects for the broader crypto industry. For context, he recently stated that approval will attract a significant volume of institutional funds. In addition, these ETFs could accelerate adoption and liquidity across the crypto market. If you'll recall, in one of my prior videos, we covered that. And I'm going to probably see if I can get the clip in here to show that, where the individual talked about a slush fund just waiting to flood in with these ETF markets. And so let's try to get a listen in on that to get a little bit more direction on this article as well.
Okay, so here's the information, the clarification that I'm getting on the $6 trillion market cap of XRP. I have a source who is high-level financial system of the world. And this person knows how it works. And I know he knows how it works because I asked him about the birth certificates, the bonds, and the trusts. And if somebody really knows how the real financial system works, they know the real story about the birth certificates, the bonds, and the trusts, and can speak authoritatively on that. And I'm not going to get into the details here, but this guy knows that. And I've vetted him as a very good source. What he's saying is that indeed the market cap of XRP is considerably higher than what we see on the exchanges. But the $6 trillion mark, he says, that may not be in the market cap yet. It may not actually yet be invested into XRP. He says what they're doing is all the big banking system, people in the banking system and the big financial players know that XRP is going to be one of the foundations of the new financial system. So they've got this money standing by in what he calls a slush fund. So they've got it there, it's on the sidelines, and they're going to pump it into XRP at some point. You will see, according to him, not investment advice, but my source says, that you'll see XRP one day soon gap up like $9 above, really high, just like that. And a lot of the holders will say, that's such a great gain, like it's unsustainable, that level of a parabolic run. That people will take their money out, and then something will happen and they'll get locked out, and then this big money fund will come in, the $6 trillion, and they'll buy it all up, and it'll go up so high then that you'll be locked out. So his advice was to hold your XRP.
Can you say gorilla grip, boys and girls? Because if you can't, you better learn how. And guess what? Here at DKWILL Talk About It, we speak gorilla. Okay? We speak gorilla, and we keep a gorilla grip on our XRP because as you can see, you're not being misled here on this channel. Continuing on in this article, it says ordinarily ETFs are a more regulated approach to gaining access to digital currencies. With a larger number of filings, Seifert noted that it is a reflection of a maturing asset class, although the broader market is still waiting on the verdict of the US SEC on most of these filings. Let's be clear. No, they're not. The SEC is going to approve these filings in October, and guess what month this is? September. So if you are still sitting on the edge and are scared to dip into this pool, you might as well just put your parka on and go up to Alaska. Because here people are getting in the pool. And you're not going to have much chance left to get in this pool, just like the man said, just like I've been saying. And now there's a person who apparently has some very high contacts who has said the same thing that I've been saying for years. It says in the first week of August, the odds of spot XRP ETF approval tanked. Well, of course it did in August. That's a part of the hype, the narrative, and the psychology of the market. It was never going to be approved in August. And in fact, I have a video out where it already said back in February that the SEC has already set a schedule for October. And here it comes. This was around the time the drag, the hangover, the leftover, Carolyn Crenshaw, the commissioner of the US SEC, said she remains opposed to crypto ETFs. All part of the plan. It's just a bunch of orchestrated ridiculousness, people. The new monetary system is going to happen, and you're either going to prepare for it or you're not. She's one commissioner, and she's not going to stop anything from happening. Then it says, for now, fingers are crossed in anticipation of whatever decision the USC makes on the 96 filings. Okay, unless they screw up their paperwork and they haven't resubmitted them and corrected them the way we've seen has already been occurring now over the last few weeks, they're going to get approved. And then those trillions of dollars that man was talking about are going to start flooding in. And overnight, XRP is going to pop up, baby, overnight, like we've never seen before. But that's just going to be the bait. That's going to be the bone for all us dogs that have been hanging on, hanging on, hanging on. But don't be a dog no more. It's time to be a gorilla. Now, of course, take some profits at $9 an XRP. If you don't take some profits, double your money at least, you're crazy. Don't be greedy, because the hogs get slaughtered. Pigs eat. Be a pig and take some profit. But hogs get slaughtered. Let me show you something. This is the Bitcoin ETF. And after roughly a decade of lobbying, the SEC finally approved the first physical Bitcoin ETFs in January of 2024, with the first 10 funds launching on January 11th, 2024, following a successful lawsuit by ETF issuer Grayscale. When it comes to spot ETFs, the person offering the ETF has to hold the asset. And how are they going to get them from you? Well, they're going to shake, rattle, and roll you the same way they did with Bitcoin. Now, I mentioned to you the release of the Bitcoin ETF, the spot ETF, not the futures ETF. And you can see my grid here, but over here on the corner over here, this is January 11th when they released that Bitcoin. And there it is. There's the price. You follow the cross. It was about $46,000. Look at the chart action in that time period. Do you see it? But 6 months later, it was at $58,000. Then look at that price action there. And then another 6 months later, it was roughly $95,000. Here's another 6 months, and look where we're at up here. We're at $116,000. Where do you think you're going to be in another 6 months? If you've been with XRP for any period of time, years don't mean so much anymore, do they? The ETFs are coming, and we're not going to wait another 6 months or another year or another year and a half for them to show up. They're going to show up in October, and we just entered into September. So let's look forward to some positive bullish breakout soon. Now, don't be surprised if it comes out and, buy on rumor, sell on news, and there's a little dip afterwards after the immediate release, just like here. Don't let that throw you off. This is the release of the Bitcoin ETF, because look what happened right afterwards. But it's coming. And all it takes is just a little more patience for a bunch of dogs to let go of their bones, a bunch of gorillas to take a look at their grip, and a bunch of pigs to eat. But don't be a hog and get slaughtered. I'm DKWILL. This is DKWILL Talk About It, and I talked about it. Have a wonderful day.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right.